Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you're new here. With the release of the Creation Kit, mods are now available and easily accessible directly through Starfield and available for both Xbox and PC. This opens up a whole new world for us shipbuilders, and I thought I would dive into this a little and do some modded builds on this channel. The mods I'm going to focus on for the time being will be mods that give us more design options for our ship. There are other mods out there that increase stat bonuses to cargo or boost powder weapons and reactors. I may do a review on those mods at a later date, but I really want to focus on the shipbuilding options for us. With that in mind, we're going to start with our first mod, AvonTech Shipyards. This mod adds a bunch of new parts for us to build with. The parts are futuristic themed and add options such as rings and angled bracers into the game. And these parts are available at any ship vendor in the game. So I grabbed the mod and got to work. After a couple days and some various designs, I came up with this. This is the Nexus. This is a Class C Deep Explorer ship named after the site that listed these mods before the Creation Store was active. This alien vessel is designed to glide among the stars. The circular shape and blue glow is unique in the skies of Starfield, and travelers that encounter this ship often wonder about what they just saw. The ship uses the AvonTech rings as a base for the design. I wanted an open hollow look to the ship, and these rings are a showcase for that idea. Now this ship is well armed. It's using my standard weapon loadout of 4 PBO-175s and 6 Obliterator autocannons. I did swap out the auto turrets this time as they just seemed a little too bulky and went with a pair of missile launchers instead. Now this is a Class C ship, so you will need your piloting skill at rank 4, your Starship design skill at rank 4, and be at least level 60 to unlock all the parts. I would also recommend completing the first mission in the UC Vanguard questline in order to access the weapons shown in this build. You will also need the AvonTech ship mod loaded from the Creation Store. At this time of making the video, the mod is free. Now loading a mod is easy. From the main screen of Starfield, click on the Creations option to load the Creator Store. To easily find ship mods, click on the Category List option and scroll down to find the ship's listing. Now select the mod you want, and if you haven't downloaded the mod yet, there'll be a download option on the bottom left. This is also where you can disable a mod if you've already downloaded. So now that we got our mod loaded and we know a little bit about this ship, let's get into the build. We're starting off at our usual stop in New Atlantis. We're going to be visiting a few places in this session. We'll be visiting New Homestead, Hopetown, Aquila, and the Deimos Star Yard. We're not going to be using the Outpost for this build, as AvonTech is available at every ship technician. So let's head off to our first stop, which is in the Sol system. We're heading over to New Homestead on Titan. Once on the ground, head over to the ship technician. If you need a ship to build off of, ask to see what he has for sale. The Discovery is a great starter ship, and it's the least expensive ship you can buy in the game. Once you have a ship, select the option to view and modify your ships. We're getting a few pieces from here. I'm going to put the parts list on screen now, pause the video here, and purchase all the parts you need. Now that we have our parts, let's fit them on our ship. Fitting these parts may require changing some of the variants and flipping some of the pieces around. Do whatever you need to do to fit them on your ship. Once the ship is flyable, exit the builder, and let's go to our next destination. Our next stop is over in the Valo system, which is right next to the Narion system. We're heading to the planet Polvo and landing in Hopetown. Once you've landed, head over to the ship technician and speak to them. Select the option to view and modify your ships. Now we only need one thing from here, and that's the 1x1 companionway hab. But we're going to need 7 of them, however, so let's buy those. Once we have purchased those, let's add them to the ship. Now we're using this specific hab because it is the cleanest hab on the inside. Everything is tied up and neatly displayed. The other 1x1 habs are kind of a bit of a mess on the inside. Now once we have attached our modules and our ship is flyable, let's exit the builder and head to our next stop. We are heading over to the Cheyenne system next, and we're landing at Aquila City on the planet Aquila. Once on the ground, head down to the path to the ship services building. Make your way inside and speak with the tech. Ask to view and modify your ships. We're going to need 2 pieces from here. 2 Stroud Cap B pieces and 2 equipment plates. So let's grab those. Once we have purchased those, fit them on your ship wherever they can go. Now you may ask yourself, Scorp, why did you go to Aquila City instead of Neon and over to Stroud to get these parts? Well, it's because my game decided it didn't like Neon anymore, and it kept crashing every time I tried to load into that zone. After 20 times of trying to load that zone and that save, I gave up and just decided to try a different plan. And now that our ship is flyable, let's exit the builder and head to our last stop. Our final destination is back over in the Sol system, and we're heading to the Deimos Star Yard. Once we have docked, head down the hall, make a slight left, head down the stairs, and talk to the ship vendor. Now we are going to finish the build here, but I'm going to do the parts in 2 different stages. First, we're going to put all the rest of the non-AvonTech parts on screen now. Pause the video here and get shopping. Once we have all of those parts, let's pull all the other parts that we purchased at the other vendors off the ship. Once we have removed all the other parts, delete the rest. We're not going to be needing any of that. Now, I'm going to walk you through the AvonTech parts that need to be purchased, rather than putting the list on screen. The reason is the part descriptions for AvonTech are a little vague, and it's easier just to show you what parts are needed. So let's start purchasing the AvonTech parts. We're going to start with cargo. We want the last variant of the Avon cargo piece. Now we're going to move this all the way over into the top left corner. This moves all the other pieces down, giving us room to work. AvonTech parts tend to take up a lot of room, so we need all the room we can get. Once that's up in the corner and the other parts are out of the way, let's grab another one of those cargo containers. Just duplicate that last piece. Next, we need engines. Scroll all the way to the bottom of the list and grab the Class C Avon Warp Mini Engine 2s. We need 4 of these. Let's tab over to the grav drives. We need to get the AvonTech grav drive. It should be the only one on the list. Up next is the reactor, and we're selecting the ring version of this reactor. It looks like we got a little bit more room out of this. So let's move these other pieces up a bit. Now it's on to structural, and this is where the descriptions get a little vague. First, let's get the AvonTech wing. It should be the single-angled wing. It's listed right above the dual wing option. We need 4 of these. Next, we're getting the AvonTech keel. Select the last variant. It should look like this. We're going to need 6 of these. Next, we need the AvonTech hood. The first variant we need is the one that's the same shape as the keel we just purchased. It should be the last variant. We need 5 of these. Now let's purchase another hood, but this time choose the 3rd variant. This shape kind of reminds me of one of those handheld tasers. Now we're going to need one last hood, and it's the 1st variant. It kind of looks like a big shield or Optimus Prime's face. Next, scroll down to the AvonTech core. We want the variation that looks like a battleship cannon. It should be the 3rd variant. We just need one of these. Next up, we're going to need the double hull. We're going to need 8 of them. Next, scroll up to the AvonTech tail. We want the 3rd variation, which is the top-facing one. We need 4 of these. Next, we need the decorative mini engines. We want the double variant here, and we need 3 of them. Next up, we need 2 of the decorative rings. And lastly, we need glow wings. We need 3 of the 4 variants. and 6 of the mid variants. Okay, we have all the parts we need. Here's our final layout. Pause the video here and make sure you have everything. Okay, let's start the build. We're going to start with the landing bay. Bring that over to the empty space and flip it so it's facing backwards. Next, take your 1x1 habs and stack them all in a tower. Bring that tower over and attach it on top of the landing bay. Next, let's bring over the other 2 habs. Attach the 2x1 to the back of the 3x1, and then attach that piece to the top hab on the front hook point. Next, grab the cockpit and attach that to the front of the 3x1 hab. Take your ship docker and attach this on top of the tower section, on top of the 1x1 hab. Now take your 2 Stroud Cap B pieces and bring those over. These are going to attach to the bottom 1x1 hab, one on each side. The curved side should be facing out. Next, take your belly 4 piece, and this will go just under the 2x1 hab, attaching to the tower. Now take the cowling 4 piece and bring that over to the back of the ship. Flip it and attach it just above the landing bay. Next, we're going to assemble the middle spike. Attach all 6 of the glow wing mid pieces together in a line. Now take the glow wing 4 piece and attach that to the front. Now this is going to attach to a very specific hab. It needs to go on the second hab below the cowling piece, which is actually the 4th hab up from the bottom. Make sure this is lined up correctly or the rings will just not sit right later. Next, we're going to bring over our fuel tanks. The bottom hook point of the tank should attach to the 1x1 we just attached our spike to, the 4th one up from the bottom. Place 1 tank on each side of the ship. Next, take one of our Nova cowlings that is facing backwards, and if yours is not facing backwards, flip it. This is going to attach to the top back of the ship. The point of the cowling should be even with the back of the hab. Now take another one and place it on the other side. Now let's move those last 2 angled cowlings off. and combine our center pieces together. We should have 4 cowlings facing one way and 4 facing the other way. Take one of these structures and attach that to the back of the cowling we just placed. The darker edge should be facing in towards the ship. Now let's place the other one on the other side. Now we're going to take our last 2 glow wig 4s and attach them to the front of the pieces we just placed on either side of the cockpit. We're going to need to use our flip technique to get them to blend in. If you've seen any of my other videos, you should be familiar with this technique. Take one piece and bring it up next to the cockpit. While the piece is selected, select the next variant and then change back to the variant previous. Now hit cancel to blend the piece in. Let's do the same on the other side. Next, bring over 2 of the double hull pieces. Keep them separate. Now, grab the grav drive and bring that over. Take the grav drive and attach it in between the 2 double hull pieces. Now, take this whole section and attach that to the front of the first 1x1 on the bottom of the tower. Next, take your Deimos hull piece and move that over a bit. Now take the braking engine and attach that to the front of the hull piece. Now take that whole section and attach that to the front of the double hull piece in the front of the ship. Next, take 3 of the double hull pieces and combine these end to end. This is going to attach to the side of our grav drive section. Make sure the end of the double hull is sitting against the shroud cap piece at the back of the ship. Now you see as we place it, there's actually a little gap in between the pieces. We don't want that. Make sure this is sitting flush against the cap pieces. Let's do the same on the other side of the ship. Next, take your last 2 cowling pieces and attach them to the front of the double hull sections we just placed, one at each side. Now we're going to work under the ship a little bit. Start with an NG-20 wide variant landing gear. This is going to go on the rear center, attaching to the double hull just behind the landing. Next, we're going to bring over the AvonTech cargo containers. We're going to use our flip technique again to blend these with the landing gear. The first one is going to attach just in front of our landing bay. Bring it over, then while it's selected, click the next variant, and then back to the original variant, and then hit cancel. Now we're going to place the next one in front of the last one, again using the same techniques to blend it in. And now you see that the center landing gear is hidden in the cargo holds. Next, bring over the other cargo bays. Stack them in a straight line, and these will attach just to the front of the cargo bays we just placed. Now we're going to place the rest of our landing gears. Take the rest of the landing gears and change the variation to the regular variant. These are going to attach to the open hook points on the sides of the ship, 3 on each side. Next, we're going to attach the AvonTech tail pieces. These are going to attach to the Stroud cap pieces. 2 of them will attach to the top of the cap pieces, 1 on each side of the ship. The other 2 will go under the cap pieces. Change the variant so it's facing upside down and attach that to the bottom of the cap piece. Next, bring over the 3 decorative engines. We're going to attach one to the back of the Stroud cap pieces on either side of the ship. And the last one is going to go on the 1x1 hab above the cowling. Next, bring over the engines. These are going to attach to the back of the 1x1 habs, one on top of the other. There should be at least one open hook point at the top when we're done. Now bring over that porthole. Change the variant so it's facing backwards and attach that to the top of the tower section on that last open hook point. Next, we're going to attach the wing sections. The first one will stay in the default position, sloping down. This is going to attach to the hook point just below the fuel tank. Take the next one, change the variant twice so it's facing upwards, and this will attach to the open hook point above the fuel tank. Now let's repeat that process on the other side of the ship with the last 2 wings. Next, we're going to connect our rings. These rings are a little tricky to work with at first. The connection point and the grab point is actually at the center. So we're going to attach these to our center spike. Take the first ring and attach that to the first open hook point on the center spike. The next ring is going to attach just behind the one we placed. It should attach to the third open hook point on the spike. The last ring will go behind the other 2. It will attach to the 5th open hook point on the spike. So if we did this right, we should have the 4-piece, then the ring, then an open spot, then another ring, then another open spot, and then the last ring. Now don't worry about the rings going through other pieces. They're actually designed to have no collision detection on them, so they will pass through anything, including the ground. Now let's move our ship over to give us a little bit more room to work. And next we're going to take that large hood piece and attach that over our cockpit. It's up to you where you place this. I like it sitting so the front is just at the windows of the cockpit. Now take your core piece, and this will go on the hook point just behind the Demos hull piece. It can be a little tricky to place as it wants to snap to our center spike for some reason. Now we're going to place that long shaped hood. This is going to go just behind the piece we placed. You know you've placed it right when the sides of the front fork wrap around that core piece. And if you take a good look into the ship, we can see the back of the piece should be against the tower section. Next, we're going to build our wing pods. Start by taking one of the keel pieces and moving that to the open space. Now take one of the hood pieces, and this should attach directly on top of the keel piece. When done correctly, it'll actually make it look like one solid pod. Now we're going to make 3 more of those. Now that these are assembled, they're going to go onto our wing pieces. Double click the piece to select all of it and bring it over. You notice there are 2 side hook points. Attach the bottom wing to the bottom hook point of the piece. Let's bring another pod over. Now for the top wing, attach it so the top side hook point of the pod attaches to the wing. It's important that it's placed like this because if you use the bottom hook point, you'll get an error that the piece is actually above the docking bay. Now let's repeat that on the other side of the ship with the last 2 pods. Next, take that last hood piece, and this is going to go on the top of the ship, just behind the large shield-looking piece. It's up to you how far back you place this piece. It's okay if the piece covers the docking bay slightly, it actually won't affect anything. Now we're going to place our last 2 keel pieces. The first one will go just under the ship. It should sit right in front of the cargo holds. Now again, it's up to you how far this sits. You could actually sit it back a little bit, as the back of the piece will blend into the cargo hold without an issue. I just like mine forward a little bit. The last keel will go under the bridge. Again, up to you how far back you want this to sit. And now let's place our shield generator. This will sit right on top of our railgun structure. It looks like it could sit back a bit, but the piece just won't sit right. So just place it on the front. Now we can place our weapons. But first we're going to need to place some pieces so that we can mount our weapons. First we're going to place the equipment plates. These will go on our bottom wing pods at the top of the pods, one each side. Next, we're going to place our horizon weapon mounts. The first one will go on the bottom pod on the top hook point on the outside. The next one will go on the top pod on the bottom hook point on the outside. Now add the last 2 on the other pods on the other side. Make sure that you attach them to the proper hook points. And finally, we can add our weapons. We're going to start with our missile launchers. These will go on our equipment plates, one on each side. Next, we'll add our PBOs. These will go onto our bottom wing pods, 2 on each side. Now take 4 of the obliterators, and these will go on our top wing pods, 2 on each side. The final 2 obliterators will go on our front cowling pieces. Now it's up to you if you want to attach these on the top or on the bottom of these pieces. I prefer mine underneath, so that's where these are going. Now I see I still have 2 errors. Doing the flight check shows us that the ship exceeds maximum length. That means some pieces misaligned, and I find this is common with AvonTech Parts. Taking a look at the ship, I see the error. There's a gap in between our front cowlings and the double hull piece. That's causing the issue. Let's pull that cowling back slightly, and let's do the same on the other side. And there, we see our error goes away. Now we can assign those weapons. I'm going to put the missile launchers on the W2 spot. The other weapons can go wherever you want. And let's rename our ship. And finally, let's swap out these factory colors. I went mainly black with teal accents to match the glow. Unfortunately, you cannot change the color of the glow. And there is our ship. These are the stats before skill and crew bonuses apply. And here's our stats after those bonuses apply. Now let's take a quick tour of our ship. I transferred back to New Atlantis so we can get a good view of the ship on the ground. This is a massive ship, hitting maximum length and height on a ship build. Now, while this ship is big, the interior is actually really simple. Since all the habs are at the top, I recommend entering directly to the bridge to avoid climbing that long ladder.
I picked up something you might be interested in.
And here's our bridge. You can see some of the glowing structures coming through, which I actually kind of enjoy. It matches the bridge to the theme of the ship. The next hab is going to be our crew quarters. I did some basic decorations here. Now, one thing to note with the blank hab, if you're going to want to use the bed, you're going to need to put a sleeping blanket down on it. While the bed is still there visually, it's actually non-functional in an empty hab. The next hab I used as a combination of a crafting station and armory. We have all the crafting stations against one wall and the armory on the other. And the last hab is our ladder room. I decorated the top hab, putting in some plants and a couch where I can relax and look out the window. Just be careful around this ladder. It's a long way down. And that's the end of the video. Let me know in the comments if you're going to give the AvonTech mod a try. Do you like the futuristic look of the mod? Or are you more into the classic look of the ships in Starfield? Also, please hit like and subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon to get notified when I upload new videos. It does help the channel grow. I'm Team Scorpio, and I'll see you in the next video.